Hare Krishna. So, we welcome you all to this reading session on Krishna book, chapter number 13. So, we have completed till chapter number 12, which was killing of the Aghasur demon, and we'll be studying today from chapter number 13. So, we'll begin this session by this wonderful prayer from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrit. Krishna, 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 Krishna. Krishna, 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 He. Krishna, 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 Krishna. Krishna, 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 He. Krishna, 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 Krishna. Krishna, Krishna. Rakshamam. Krishna, 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 Pahimam. Ram Raghav, Ram Raghav, Ram Raghav Rakshamam. Krishna Keshav, Krishna Keshav, Krishna Keshav Pahimam. The Pranam Mantra of Srila Prabhupada. Namah Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. So till now we had discussed that Lord Krishna had killed and delivered the great demon by the name Aghasur, who was sent by Kamsa. So after the death of Aghasur, the demigods and the heavenly planets, they sounded lot of bugles and drums, and due to this auspicious sounds, Lord Brahma, who heard those sounds, came down to see what exactly had happened. So this chapter continues where in the previous section Shukdev Goswami, who was reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam to Maharaj Parikshit, so Shukdev Goswami, Parikshit Maharaj asked Shukdev Goswami that why was this incident of the killing of Aghasur not discussed in the amongst the Vrajvasis, or not told by the children to the parents for the next 1 year. So the discussion continues from this point. So let's start chapter number 13, which is entitled The Stealing of the Boys and Calves by Brahma. Shukdev Goswami was very much encouraged when Maharaj Parikshit asked him why the cowherd boys did not discuss the death of Aghasur until after 1 year had passed. He explained thus: My dear king, you are making the subject matter of the transcendental pastimes of Krishna fresher by your inquisitiveness. It is said that it is the nature of a devotee to constantly apply his mind, energy, words, ears, etc., in hearing and chanting about Krishna. This is called Krishna consciousness. And for one who is wrapped in hearing and chanting about Krishna, the subject matter never becomes hackneyed or old. So Shukdev Goswami is very happy that Maharaj Parikshit is such a good listener that he immediately identified that there is something which I could not understand, and you please elaborate more on this. So Srila Prabhupada ji is explaining that this is called Krishna consciousness when a devotee, what is his nature? That he constantly applies his mind energy, all his bodily senses in hearing and chanting about Krishna. And for this is called Krishna consciousness, and Krishna consciousness never becomes stale or old for anybody. That is the significance of transcendental matter, subject matter, in contrast to material subject matter. Material subject matter becomes stale, and one cannot hear a certain subject for a long time. He wants change. But as far as transcendental subject matter is concerned, it is called Nitya Navayamana. This means that one can go on chanting and hearing about the Lord and never feel tired, but remain fresh and eager to hear more and more. It is the duty of the spiritual master to disclose all confidential subject matter to the inquisitive and sincere disciple. Thus, Shukdev Goswami began to explain why the killing of Aghasur was not discussed until 1 year had passed. Shukdev Goswami told the king, "Now hear of this secret with attention." After saving his friends from the mouth of Aghasur and killing the demon, Lord Krishna brought his friends to the bank of the Yamuna and addressed them as follows. So here we see that all the friends of Lord Krishna, they are sitting on the bank of the river Yamuna, and let's see what do they talk. My dear friends, just see how this spot is very nice for taking lunch and playing on the soft sandy Yamuna bank. You can see how the lotus flowers in the water are beautifully blown and how they distribute their fragrance all around. The chirping of the birds, along with the cooing of the peacocks, surrounded by the whispering of the leaves in the trees, combine and present sound vibrations that echo one another, and this just enriches the beautiful scenery created by the trees here. Let's have our lunch in this spot because it is already late and we are feeling hungry. Let the cows remain near us and let them drink the water from the Yamuna. While we engage in our lunch taking, the calves may engage in eating the soft grass that are in this spot. So it's very clear that Lord Krishna and his friends used to take calves for grazing and not the cows. So they decided that they will have the lunch at this very spot, and they all of them sat down. So and Lord Krishna is describing the beauty and the wonderful characteristics of this place, where birds are chirping and there are wonderful sound vibrations which are present, and it's a beautiful scenery. So, on hearing this proposal from Krishna, all the boys became very glad and said, "Certainly, let us all sit down here to take our lunch." They then let loose the calves to eat the soft grass. Sitting down on the ground and keeping Krishna in the center, they began to open their lunch boxes brought from home. Lord Sri Krishna was seated in the center of the circle, and all the boys kept their faces towards him. So we can see from this photograph that Lord Krishna was sitting in the center of all the cowherd boys, and all of them were enjoying the beautiful lotus-like face of the Lord. They ate and constantly enjoyed seeing the Lord face to face. Krishna appeared to be the wall of a lotus flower, and the boys surrounding him appeared to be its different petals. The boys collected flowers, leaves of flowers, and the bark of the trees and placed their lunch on them, as well as in their boxes, and thus they began to eat their lunch, keeping company with Krishna. While taking lunch, each boy began to manifest different kinds of relations with Krishna, and they enjoyed each other's company with joking words. While Lord Krishna was thus enjoying lunch with his friends, his flute was pushed within the belt of his cloth on his right side, and his bugle and cane were pushed in on the left side of his cloth. So, we had already learned that when Lord Krishna used to go to the forest, so he used to carry the bugle horn, which is made up of buffalo horn, and his lunch bag and his flute. So while he was taking lunch, so all these entities were tightly bound within the belt of his cloth. In his left palm, he was holding a lump of food prepared with yogurt Yogurt means dahi, or I think in English it is called yogurt only. In Hindi we call it dahi, butter, rice, and pieces of fruit salad, which could be seen through his petal-like finger joints. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who accepts the results of all sacrifices, was laughing and joking, enjoying lunch with the results of all great sacrifices. Sorry, I just missed. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who accepts the result of all great sacrifices, was laughing and joking, enjoying lunch with his friends in Vrindavan. And thus the scene was being observed by the demigods from heaven. As for the boys, they were simply enjoying transcendental bliss in the company of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we see here that these boys are having the best time of their life, because they are sitting with Krishna face to face, enjoying taking lunch with him, and they don't have any anxiety in their mind. They don't have any stress in life. They are simply having the best time of their life. So, at that time, the calves that were pasturing nearby entered into the deep forest, allured by the new grasses, and gradually went out of sight. When the boys saw that the calves were not nearby, they became afraid for their safety, and they immediately cried out, Krishna! Krishna is the killer of fear personified. Everyone is afraid of fear personified, but fear personified is afraid of Krishna. So we are fearful of something, but the fear itself is afraid of Krishna. Bhir abhi vibheti. By crying out the word Krishna, the boys at once transcended the fearful situation. Out of his great affection, Krishna did not want his friends to give up their pleasing lunch engagement and go searching for the calves. So they were having a good time, and Lord Krishna did not want that his friends should discontinue or give a break to their eating. He therefore said, My dear friends, you need not interrupt your lunch. Go on enjoying. I am going personally to find the calves. Thus, Lord Krishna, still carrying the lump of yogurt and rice preparation in his left hand, immediately started to search out the calves in the caves and bushes. He searched in the mountain holes, and in the forest, but nowhere could he find them. At the time when Aghasur was killed and the demigods were looking on the incident with great surprise, Brahma, who was born of the lotus flower growing out of the navel of Vishnu, also came to see. He was surprised how a little boy like Krishna could act so wonderfully. Although he was informed that the little cowherd boy was the supreme personality of Godhead, he wanted to see more of the Lord's glorious pastimes. So, Lord Brahma, although he knew that this is the supreme personality of Godhead, but he wanted to see more of Lord's glorious pastimes, and therefore he what did he do? And thus he stole all the calves and cowherd boys and took them to a different place. Lord Krishna, therefore, in spite of searching for the calves, could not find them, and he even lost his boyfriends on the bank of the Jamuna, where they had been taking their lunch. So when Lord Krishna went to the forest to look for the calves, so Brahma had already stolen the calves, and that's why Lord Krishna was unable to find them. And when Lord Krishna came back to the bank of Jamuna, where his friends were taking lunch, the friends were also gone. So Lord Brahma, he stole both the calves as well as the cowherd boys. So he lost even his boyfriends also on the bank of Jamuna. So, in the form of a cowherd boy, Lord Krishna was very little in comparison to Brahma. But because he is the supreme personality of Godhead, he could immediately understand that all the calves and boys had been stolen by Brahma. Krishna thought, Brahma has taken all the boys and calves. How can I alone return to Vrindavan? The mothers will be aggrieved. So he knew that Lord Brahma has stolen these calves and cowherd boys, and if I go back home alone, everybody will start crying. The cows will cry because their calves are lost, and the mothers will cry because their children are not they did not come back home. Therefore, in order to satisfy the mothers of his friends, he, as well as to convince Brahma of the supremacy of the personality of Godhead, he immediately expanded himself as the cowherd boys and calves. In the Vedas, it is said that the Supreme Personality of Godhead has already expanded himself into so many living entities by his energy. Therefore, it was not very difficult for him to expand himself into so many boys and calves. He expanded himself to become exactly like the boys who were all of different features and facial and bodily construction, and who were different in their clothing and ornaments and in their behavior and personal activities. So Lord Krishna expanded himself into different cowherd boys and the calves, and all of them had different facial features, different build. They were having different complexion, they were different features, bodily construction, so everything was unique. And Lord Krishna took the shape, he expanded himself into thousands of calves and thousands of cowherd boys. And the wonderful thing was that he was uh, the exact uh, construction or the features of the body of that particular cowherd boy or calf were present in the expansion of the Lord. So in other words, although each boy, being an individual soul, had entirely different taste, activities, and behavior, Krishna exactly expanded himself into all different positions of the individual boys. He also became the calves, who were also of different sizes, colors, activities, etc. This was possible because everything is an expansion of Krishna's energy. In the Vishnu Purana, it is said, Parasya Brahmana Shakti. Whatever we actually see in the cosmic manifestation, be it matter or the activities of the living entities, is simply an expansion of the energies of the Lord, as heat and light are the different expansions of fire. So, Srila Prabhupada is making a very important statement here, and he's trying to explain us that he has the Supreme Lord. He has expanded himself into many living entities already. So there are two types of amsha. One is Vibhin amsha and one is Swa amsha. So the expansion of the Lord in form of Lord, the different incarnations like Lord Varahadev, Lord Nrsimhadev, they are all Swa amsha, means they are equal in potency also, right? They're equal in quality and they are equal in quantity. But there is another expansion, or there is another ansha, which is called the Vibhin Amsha. Vibhin Amsha means the spirit souls, which are equal in quality, but they are not equal in quantity. So if the Lord is infinite, He is Vibhu, and we are Anu, or which we are infinite small. So we are these cowherd boys, they were individual souls which had different tastes, activities, behavior. But Lord Krishna, when he expanded himself, he exactly replicated himself in the features of the boys and the calves. So thus expanding himself as the boys and calves in their individual capacities, and surrounded by such expansions of himself, Krishna entered the village of Vrindavan. So Lord Brahma had taken all of them, but Lord had to come back, so he expanded himself, and all of them came back to Vrindavan. The residents had no knowledge of what had happened. After entering the village of Vrindavan, all the calves entered their respective cowsheds, and the boys went to their respective mothers and homes. The mothers of the boys heard the vibration of their flutes before their entrance, and to receive them, they came out of their homes and embraced them. And out of maternal affection, milk was flowing from their breasts, and they allowed the boys to drink it. However, their offering was not exactly to their boys, but to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who had expanded himself into such boys. This was a chance for all the mothers of Vrindavan to feed the Supreme Personality of Godhead with their own milk. Therefore, not only did Lord Krishna give Yashoda the chance to feed him, but this time he gave the chance to all the elder gopis. So this is something which is very amazing to understand, that all the mothers of Vrindavan, they loved Krishna so much as their own child, and Lord gave them a chance to show their maternal affection by sucking their breast milk. And how did he give it? By this pastime, where all the calves and cowherd boys were stolen, and Lord Krishna personally, as his expansion, uh, uh, allowed all the gopis to feed him. All the boys dealt with their mothers as usual, and the mothers also, on the approach of evening, bathed their respective children, decorated them with tilak and ornaments, and gave them necessary food after the day's labor. The cows who had been away in the pasturing grounds returned in the evening and called their respective calves. So, as the boys used to take the calves, similarly, the adult or the elder gopas, cowherd men, used to take the the cows for grazing. So, once they came back in the evening, they called their respective calves. The calves immediately came to their mothers, and the mothers began to lick the bodies of the calves. These relations of the cows and the gopis with their calves and the boys remained unchanged, although actually the original calves and boys were not there. Actually, the cows' affection for their calves and the elder gopis' affection for the boys causelessly increased. Their affection increased naturally, even though the calves and boys were not their offspring. Although the cows and the elder gopis of Vrindavan had greater affection for Krishna than their own offspring, after this incident, their affection for their offspring increased unlimitedly, exactly as it did for Krishna. So, this is something very wonderful being written over here, that the gopis of Vrindavan and the cows, the amount of affection that they had for Krishna was much more than whom? Their own offspring. And after this incident, this affection increased unlimitedly. One for 1 year continuously, Krishna himself expanded as the calves and cowherd boys and was present in the pasturing ground. As it is stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna's expansion is situated in everyone's heart as the super soul. Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishto. Paramatma is sitting in everybody's heart. Similarly, instead of expanding himself as the super soul, he expanded himself as a portion of calves and cowherd boys for 1 continuous year. One day, a few days before a year had passed, Krishna and Balram were maintaining the calves in the forest. Then, when they saw some cows grazing on the top of Govardhan hill, so Lord Krishna and Balram, they were taking care of the calves, and they saw that some of the cows who were being taken care of by the adult men or the elder gopas, they were grazing on the top of the Govardhan hill. The cows could see down into the valley where the calves were being taken care of by the boys. Suddenly, on sighting the calves, the cows began to run towards them. They leaped downhill with joined front and rear legs. The cows were so melted with affection for the calves that they did not care about the rough path from the top of the Govardhan hill down to the pasturing ground. So this is the photograph where we see that these cows are so mad in affection with their calves that they're simply running down towards for their calves, right? Although they were on the top of the Govardhan hill, it was so rough to come down, but they immediately started off after seeing the calves, right? So their love was expanding unlimitedly. The cows were so melted with affection for the calves that they did not care about the rough path from the top of Govardhan hill down to the pasturing ground. They approached the calves with their milk bags full of milk, and they raised their tail upwards. When they were coming down the hill, their milk bags were pouring milk on the ground out of intense maternal affection for the calves, although they were not their own calves. These cows had their own calves, and the calves that were grazing beneath Govardhan Hill were larger. They were not expected to drink milk directly from the milk bag, but were satisfied with the grass. Yet, All the cows came immediately and began to lick their bodies, and the calves began to to suck milk from the milk bags. There appeared to be a great bond of affection between the cows and the calves. So this is something very amazing that happened. That these cows, when they saw the calves, they immediately began to run, and they were not their own calves, right? These calves, they were not their own. They had their own calves, were different, but they were so much in affection for the calves, and that out of maternal affection their milk bags were pouring milk when they were coming down, right? So there was a great bond of affection. Why this is happening? Because it was none other than Lord Krishna who had taken, who had expanded himself into the shape of a calf. When the cows were running down from the top of the Govardhan hill, the men who were taking care of them tried to stop them. So they were taking care of the cows, and they tried to stop them. Older cows are taken care of by the men, and the calves are taken care of by the boys. As far as possible, the the calves are kept separate from the cows so that the calves do not drink all the available milk. Therefore, the men who were taking care of the cows on the top of Govardhan Hill, tried to stop them, but they failed. Baffled by their failure, they were feeling ashamed and angry. They were unhappy. But when they came down and saw their children taking care of the calves, they all of a sudden became very affectionate towards the children. So the same thing which happened with the cows, when they saw their own children, the elder gopas or the adult men, when they saw their own children, they became immediately very happy, right? And their hearts, they were very affectionate towards the children. It was astonishing. Although the men became down disappointed, baffled, and angry, as soon as they saw their own children, their hearts melted with great affection. At once, their anger, dissatisfaction, and unhappiness disappeared. Initially, they were a little disappointed that they were not able to stop the cows from running down the hill. But as soon as they saw their boys, they themselves became so much melted with affection. They began to show paternal love for the children. So here we see the calves are being taken, the cows are showing affection to the calves, and the elder men are showing affection to the cowherd boys. So they began to show, okay, paternal love for their children and great affection. They lifted them in their arms and embraced them. They began to smell their children's head and enjoy their company with great happiness. After embracing their children, the men took the cows back to the top of Govardhan Hill. Along the way, they began to think of their children, and affectionate tears fell from their eyes. When Balram saw this extraordinary exchange of affection between the cows and the calves, between the fathers and their children, when neither the calves nor the children needed so much care, he began to wonder why this extraordinary thing had happened. He was astonished to see all the residents of Vrindavan so affectionate to their own children, exactly as they had been to Krishna. Similarly, the cows had grown affectionate to the calves as much as to Krishna. Balaram therefore concluded that the extraordinary show of affection was something mystical, either performed by the demigods or by some powerful man. Otherwise, how could this wonderful change take place? He concluded that this mystical change must have been caused by Krishna, whom Balaram considered the worshipable personality of Godhead. He thought it was arranged by Krishna, and even though I could not check its mystic power, thus Balram understood that all those boys and calves were only expansions of Krishna. So, till here, we have studied that what has transpired between Lord Brahma has stolen the calves and the cowherd boys, and now Lord Krishna, in order to prevent aggrieving agreement of the cows and the gopis of Vrindavan, has expanded himself, and something astonishing, extraordinary is happening, that all of them are feeling great affection towards the calves, and the elder gopis, elder gopas are feeling so much affection to their children. So we will study tomorrow from this very point. So we will close the discussion today at this point. So tomorrow also there will be a reading session at the same time, and then our exam will be conducted on Sunday at 8:30 p.m. So this chapter is a little longer, therefore it was covered in two reading sessions, and tomorrow also we will conduct a reading session for the same. Okay, so thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Anant Koti Vaishnav Vrind ki jai. Dai Gaur Premanande.